All right, more instrument practice on the flight sim. Tonight we're going to do a challenging approach into Telluride. We're going to leave Montrose Airport in Colorado, and it's like a 30-minute flight, a little bit less, over to Telluride. To make it interesting, I've thrown in some weather. I've got the snow going, and I've got the clouds sitting at the bases are 11,594. What makes that interesting is that according to the approach plate, the decision altitude is 11,340. Yeah, 11,340. So not giving myself a whole lot of wiggle room there, but we'll see how that goes. The airport elevation, though, is 9070, so we should be well good. Matter of fact, yeah, I don't want to make it any lower than what the decision altitude actually is, just for the sake of the airport elevation. Keep it safe, even in the sim. That's what makes flying in the sim a useful tool. You know, you can make it as real as you want. All right, so let me show you what's going on here. All right, we got ForeFlight out here, and as you can see, we've got Montrose, and we've got Telluride, and we're going to do the localizer runway 9 approach. But to make it interesting, again, we're going to do the circling approach. So we're going to do the circle to 27. This is going to be really interesting because we're going to have low ceilings. We've got mountains all in the way. And as a matter of fact, runway 27 right here is a ski resort. So as I offset to the right, like I'm doing downwind for 27, so I'm going to do the localizer to 9. I'm going to offset to the right, and then do the landing on runway 27 there. So all while trying to miss the mountain and the ski resort at Telluride. Anyways, we're all loaded up inside of the airplane. The flight plan is loaded, so we should be good to go. I use a Stream Deck for a lot of my settings for like my Garmin 530 and autopilot and stuff like that. So what I'll do is I'll set my altimeter setting for 12,000 feet, and anyways, you'll see it all in there. We'll get going here. All right, let me get this set up. Let's adjust this a little bit more. All right, that looks good. All right. Some coffee. All right, let's get this weather off of here and get moving, shall we? I'm going to set the HSI up for 203 degrees, 203. And I'll talk you through what I'm doing here as we get going. We've got the pitot heat in. We don't want the pitot heat or the pitot tube getting frozen up. All right, here we go. All right, break off, power set, getting on the center line. All right, we're off the peg, and now we're at 60 knots, 70, and rotate. Positive rate, gear coming up. Maintain that center line. All right, we've got about 500 feet. We can start making our turn on course. Just an easy standard rate turn while maintaining a nice climb. And we can bring the RPM back to 2,500. That's my climb prop setting. All right, we'll intercept the old magenta line from right about here. You'll see the needles on my HSI start coming in as we get closer to that magenta line. All right, so I can talk to you and not have to concentrate on this quite so much. I'm going to set the autopilot up. We're going to set the altimeter for, or the altitude, I should say, altitude pre-select for 12,000. All right, here we go. Autopilot, heading mode, or I mean nav mode, altitude, and we're going to do a vertical speed. No, I'm sorry, not a vertical speed, a indicated airspeed, I'm sorry, of right there, 100 knots. So we got altitude pre-select at 12,000 feet, and we'll climb to that at 100 knots. And all I have to do is manage the throttle, and we should be in good shape. All right. Not that this matters, but why not? All right, our lights are on. Pitot heat's on. And it's cold out, but we're just going to keep an eye out for frost, right? All right. So we're doing this in the Turbo Aero 3, which is actually, you know, obviously it's the same plane I have, which is great for my instrument flying. That way I'm using the same kind of airplane that I do in real life. The only difference, and this you can even see 6071 Hotel, that's my N number. I'll even, if I can get over to this here, I'll show you real quick. That's my plane. That's my paint scheme. That's my N number. I didn't make this. Someone else did. It's available for download on justflight.to. If you have not justflight.to, I'm sorry, flightsim.to. The airplane is a Just Flight Turbo Aero 3, Turbo Aero 4 package that you can get for Microsoft Flight Simulator. All right. Let's get back in the plane. There we go. All right, we're at 10,500 feet and climbing still. Still just managing throttle. And let's change this to how I normally have it set up. All right, we're going to ETL right now. ETL is ETL's our VOR that we're going to intercept. I've got localizer set up on nav1 there, 109.3. 109.3 is the localizer frequency. We're navigating via GPS right now to ETL, just under 13 minutes out from that. And we're set at 203 degrees off of the HSI. So we're navigating perfectly right now. I was kind of hoping we were going to be in the soup more. I wonder if I can fix that. See, this is the hardest thing for me, is understanding how to work the weather in this simulator. That ain't what I wanted to do. Let's see. There it is. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, I see. It's at. Oh, I didn't want 13. Okay, this should be 11,300 and something. How about that? We'll make it 11,430. We're going to do a little bit better than that even. Because I can still see the ground. These are supposed to be the bases. Altitude bottom, see, 11,089, and I'm at 12,000 feet right now. Let's just do like, geez. Let's see how that works out. I don't know. It's not quite as challenging, or it's not quite as challenging if you can see the ground, right? Maybe I can even do one better. Let's see. Oh, I think I just, yeah, I paused the sim. All right. Let's do, oh, that's why this is set at AGL. I think it should be MSL. Let's see. Yeah, that was my problem. All right, now let's adjust this. All right, 11,374, and my my decision altitude's 11,340. So we'll see how that works out for us. All right, now there we go. Now we're in the soup. Now we're in the soup, and we're already starting to pick up some ice. I can tell. Keep an eye on those windscreens for me. All right. Feeling better about that. All right. All right. I need to manage this engine. All right. 33 inches of manifold pressure, 2,400 RPM. And now I'm going to lean the plane like I would in my real plane and do lean of peak. I want you to keep an eye on the EGT over here and also the fuel flow. All right. And I'll explain this as I go along. What we're going to do is we're going to do a big pull with the mixture. You'll see the EGTs rise. And then you'll see them get cooler as we introduce less fuel into the system. Now look at the fuel flow over there to the left. When I get this down to about 9.5 gallons per hour, right about there, yeah, that's what we'd call lean of peak. In my plane, when you have a good fuel, not good fuel, but a good engine monitor, like we have an EDM 830 in here, I'd be seeing something like 65% power and 9.5 gallons per hour, and this is lean of peak for my plane. The plane's got a TSIO 360 in it, which just means it's a turbocharged 360 cubic inch 6-cylinder. It's fuel injected, not carbureted, so we don't got to worry about carb ice. But we do have the pitot heat on because we don't want the pitot tube to get frozen. So, all right, here is our cruise settings, and you can see we've got a ground speed of 156 knots and indicated airspeed shows down here 137. So we've got a little bit of a tailwind, which is nice. All right, we are 4.5 minutes out from ETL. ETL is our first initial approach fix that we will intercept. Like I said, it's Vortac, and I'm too far out for you to see it on the map well. Well, you can kind of see it right there. All right. While we're looking at that, it's not going to hit the VOR and then make a 90-degree turn. That's not how this works. What it will do is kind of like a turn anticipation. It'll start turning slightly before the VOR. That way it can intercept the localizer course like it should. And then once we start getting on the actual localizer and receiving it, you're going to see the 530 over here. We're on GPS mode. It's going to change to VLOC, and it's going to lock in on that localizer frequency. And we're going to follow that glide path down. We're going to hit ETL at 12,000 feet. We're going to stay at 12,000 feet to our next fix, which is Hodlow. And then we start going down a little bit and a little bit more. 11,500 at Zabgu, and then 11,340 basically at the runway edge. When we get really close to that runway, I'll offset to the right, use it as a downwind like I would in a regular VFR flight, downwind, and then circle back, land on runway 27. I set up the weather in this, so everything's 29.92 for my barometer setting, so I don't got to mess with that. All right, we're getting close here. We're only 2 minutes out. I need to start pulling the power back because we're not going to hit this turn at 150 knots in ground speed. So we're going to go ahead and bring this back. Let's see. I got a little cheat sheet that I made in my aircraft that shows me all of my speeds for which I need to be at various phases of flight. So, all right, approach level, 20 inches of manifold pressure. We'll go ahead and bring that back. Bam, 20 inches of manifold pressure. That should help me get slowed down to probably just a little over 100 knots prior to Echo Tango Lima. You see, I've got the localizer frequency in nav1 109.3. We're good to go there. Touchdown zone, touchdown elevation is 9,037 feet, airport elevation 9070. The approach course is going to be 093 degrees. We will dial that in after we get a little bit further down the approach. Yep, see my speed. We're down to 103 knots, which sounds about right for 20 inches of manifold pressure. A little over a minute and a half before ETL, but a few seconds before hitting ETL, it'll start making its turn. We're just a little bit further out of that, 2.9 miles. This is a real fun approach in the day, especially when there's snow on the mountains. It's gorgeous. Something else. I'll show share some pictures with you later at the end of the video. All right, mile and a half from ETL. That's as zoomed in as I can get. You'll see on the screen, it'll it'll tell you when it's about to turn in about, I don't know, 15 seconds or so. Oh, there it is. Okay, 10 seconds. It's going to turn in 7, 6, 5. Here it goes. Here goes the turn, and we are about a half mile out. So about a half mile prior to ETL, it starts making its turn. If you like these, please comment, let me know. Also, I'd love to know some other approaches you'd like me to try. I'm willing to try any of them, but I want to be able to do it in a single engine prop airplane. I don't really have any interest in flying big iron. I'm not going to ever fly for the airlines. It's not something that I'm interested in. So, but I love going to fly my airplane. I love going to different airports. So let me know some airports that have some interesting approaches, or just your local airport. I'll try its approach. We'll put it on, we'll do a video on it. I'd love to do that. All right, we're good on speed, and we're staying at 12,000 feet until Hodlow. At Hodlow, we can come down to 11,500 feet. I'm going to pre-select that for my altitude and my autopilot, 11,500. I can tell, I can see on the windscreen, look at that frost. You see that? I got frost everywhere. Let's do this. Let's turn the heat on. Turn the fan on. There you go. Let's see if that makes that go away. All right, we are 1 minute from Hodlow, 2 miles out, 1 minute from Hodlow. Staying at 12,000 feet. We can keep right here at this easy 100 knots. Once we're at Hodlow, we'll start getting configured for ZABGU. ZABGU is my final approach fix, and I'll be configured for landing by ZABGU. ZABGU puts me 6.4 miles out from the runway. And you're going to watch any minute now, my GPS is going to change to VLOC. 093 degrees. All right, we want to get this locked in here. I want to get this. There it is. We're on VLOC, so we're working off of the radio now navigation. We're locked in with the VOR on the localizer frequency. I mean, oh, I got to make sure and keep it on nav mode though, because every once in a while, and this just happened, my autopilot on here, when it switches from GPS to VLOC, it switches to heading mode on me. And this has nothing to do with the plane. It's this autopilot. There's something goofy going on here. I got to figure out how to fix it. But anyways, we're on nav mode. We're going to come down to 11,500 feet. And I'm going to pull some manifold pressure back so we don't get too fast. And ZABGU is my final approach fix. So we're going to throw the gear down. Gears down, 3 green. First notch flaps. We're going to have to give it some power to maintain this now that we got all this drag out, right? And we're going to come down to 11,500 feet. We've got 100 foot to go. We are on course. Let's see. Let's keep that airspeed looking good. All right, gas, undercarriage, mixture, but not full. Props full. Make sure we're not doing full because we're at such a high elevation. If I give it too much fuel right here, and if we have to do a go around, it'll flood the engine. It's not good. You won't get full power. We're getting slow. We're at 80 knots. We should be at 90. There, we're picking the speed back up. Get that nose pointed down a little bit more. That's better. All right, we're at Zabgu. We're 6.4 miles out, and now we're going to come down to 11,340 feet. I can see some ground. Also, all of my frost is off the windshield now, off the windscreen and windows. So that's good. This is going to be tricky. I don't think in real life you would want to make this approach with this poor visibility. According to the plate, you're supposed to have 1.25 miles visibility and decision altitude 11,340. Well, we're coming up at 11,340 right about now. I'm just going to make it easy and go 11.3. And I've got ground contact, but just barely. So we'll see if we can make this stick or not. In real life, this is a no-go. We're not landing here. I put those clouds in just a little bit too thick. You know what? I want to land this like I'm supposed to. I'm going to do that and adjust those clouds. That's a bit too ridiculous. Not 12,000. Oh yeah. How about that? Does that help? Let's see if that works. There we go. There we go. That would be a minimum day, I think, right there. And that's probably still too iffy in real life, but you at least got ground contact from here. All right, we're coming down. I don't have the airport in sight, but a little bit of that is because I'm going slow and my nose is trimmed up. So, all right. Directly off of my nose, I've got about 2 miles before we're there. Yep. All right, gears down, undercarriage mixture, prop switches, landing lights on. We are cleared to land, but we're going to do a circle 27. All right. We are under a mile out. I'm going to kill the autopilot and offset to the right. There's the airport. Just there it is. There's the runway. And if you can make it out in front of me, that's the ski resort I was talking about. turn off this blower. Too noisy. Yeah, this is doable. In a plane that doesn't have anti-icing equipment, I don't think I'd try that. All right, second notch of flaps, and we are fully configured to land. We're going to widen this out a little bit more. All right, we're going to turn base. Now, normally, you'd be lower, I believe, and you would circle lower and like even possibly still be turning while you're over top of the end of the runway. But we've got good visibility, so we're going to take advantage of it. There we go. We are high as can be, huh? Didn't lose enough altitude on that downwind. It's tricky when you're flying into those mountains. It goes against everything you ever learned about flying in the mountains. You don't descend into rising terrain, right? Normally I'd be touching down right there, but I blew that. So anyways. Salvaged it. Not ideal, but pretty good. All right. This is a, it doesn't have any taxiways, so this is a taxi back. So there's a Telluride with the localizer 09er approach with the circling to 2.7. Not the best example of it, I understand. Like I said, when I've practiced circling approaches, you circle and it's kind of like doing a what do you call it? I keep wanting to say a steep turn, like you're doing a power off 180. A lot of times you're still making your turn over top of the runway when you hit the airport environment, you know. But I don't know, it seems kind of dangerous out there with all those mountains and everything. And I had good enough visibility at the end with being able to keep the runway in sight. So I took advantage of that. But what I didn't take advantage of was losing enough altitude prior to being on final. So anyways, I'm going to take you up here to where the FBO is, and then I'll show you something real quick. This is an awesome FBO. It's just beautiful inside. I got a nice gray long sleeve shirt when I was up here. A friend of mine gave me a shirt that he got when he went up here. He said, I never landed here, so I don't deserve it. I'm going to give it to you. And I thought that was nice. It said, some people fly at 90, 70, we land. I thought that was hilarious. All right, we're just going to park it right here. Kill the engine. All the lights and everything. All right, check this out. Oh, no, there. Whoops. Isn't it shift C? Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, all right, now watch this. I've got, I'll show you a picture of the real thing with my plane real quick. All right, let's go here. Let me get this back. Here we go. All right, so this was the flight into Telluride from Montrose that day. As you can see, beautiful VFR day. Nothing like the instrument practice we just did. Just gorgeous. That's just, you know, if you don't have somewhere to fly with mountains and snow, I feel sorry for you. It's something to be seen at those altitudes. Anyways, let's get up here. Here we go. So as you can see, there's the airport right there. And we just did the flight where we were coming into runway 9, we offset, and then did a downwind base and final for runway 27. There's the ski resort right over there. But like I said, I think normally when you do a circle to land, you would offset, like I said, and then you would do a close-in approach, circling, and then you're still turning as you get over the edge of the runway. At least that's how I've practiced it. I assume they're all like that. I'd have to ask my instructor. I'm just kind of new to the instrument practice, so I'm going to follow up with that and find out for myself. But since we had visibility good enough, I went ahead and extended that downwind and base and final. And then, of course, we ended up real high because I wasn't managing my altitude good enough. Anyway, so there's the airport. And then look at that on landing. Well, this wasn't landing. This was the taxi back part. That's just gorgeous. And now we're parked at the FBO. There it is. There's the plane outside. Beautiful FBO. And there's kind of how I just parked it too, with the airplane in the background, or with the FBO in the background and the airplane here. So anyways, thanks for flying along with me. And I would love to hear from you in the comments, some ideas of some other airports to fly into with different IFR approaches. I'll try them all. I don't care. ILS, GPS approaches, VOR approaches, whatever. Let's give it all a try. All good practice. So until next time, fly safe and keep the blue side up. Peace.